The Alabama Farmers Federation and the Alabama Farmers Cooperative proudly present Simply Southern with your hosts Jim Allen and Mary Johnson.
Good morning and welcome to Simply Southern. I'm Jim Allen.
And I'm Mary Johnson. Coming up on today's show, our state has always enjoyed a wealth in agriculture. This week, we'll look into a program that recognizes the best of Alabama's farms. Electric cooperatives have played a vital role in bringing power to rural communities. Find out how they're also making a difference for our leaders of tomorrow. And Sidney Phelps with Bonnie Plants looks ahead to help you get the most out of your spring strawberries.
But we start out in Evergreen, where we'll talk turkey with hunting legend Eddie Salter. Coming up next on Simply Southern.
There's no such thing as downtime when you own a farm. This is your land. You tend it and try to get the most from it, no matter the weather or time of day. It's been that way for generations. And for generations, your local quality co-op store has been there for you, with a full range of agriculture supplies and services, from feed to fertilizer, seed to grain storage, and the right hardware for any application. You'll always find what you need, plus friendly, knowledgeable advice at your local quality co-op store. There's one near you.
The blessing of Alabama agriculture is more than 3 meals a day. It means independence from foreign nations, freedom to pursue other jobs and activities, conservation of natural resources, and preservation of family values. For 93 years, the Alabama Farmers Federation has brought together the men and women whose work fills our plates and fuels the American dream.
Today's farming operation is more complex than ever before, with precision agriculture becoming an integral piece to farm management. AccuField provides precision agriculture technologies and site-specific management capabilities in a simplified and interactive format, helping you put all the pieces of the farming puzzle together. For more information, visit us at www.accufield.com.
I'm just like my customers. I work hard and I play hard. I also help my dad on the farm when I can. That's the great thing about Alpha. We work hard for our customers. It's more than price. It's personal attention and great claim service. Hey, bud.
For the best agents in the business, call Alpha.
For turkey hunters in the audience, our next guest needs no introduction. For nearly 4 decades, Eddie Salter has been a leading authority across the nation on all things that gobble. This week, we catch up with Alabama's turkey man and maybe get a crash course in how to call him up like a pro. A conversation with Eddie Salter usually involves some colorful language, but it's music to the ears for Alabama hunters ever eager for turkey season to arrive. A 2-time world champion turkey caller, Eddie's love of gobblers began early.
I grew up right here in Evergreen, Alabama, and actually kind of out in the country, about 6 miles from here between Evergreen and a little town, a community of Lee Effian. And I was lucky enough to grow up on a farm, and I could get out there right at the crack of day, and I could hear these little hens, the old gobbler, and they'd start flying in out there, and that old gobbler would land out there in the field, and he would look like a black Volkswagen strutting.
A career that has spanned over 5 decades as a leading name in all things turkey began in a small barbershop.
You know, it wasn't turkeys everywhere. We had turkeys in just isolated areas and different farms. And, you know, as I started cutting, as I got out of high school and started cutting hair, I started gaining a lot more customers, and I had a lot of farmers come in here. I would ask them, you know, have you been seeing any turkeys on your farm or, you know, around and about? And if they said yes, boy, I'd start smiling, and I'd start taking that straight razor and I'd start shaving around them ears, and I'd get around that left ear, and I said, you know, you've been seeing them turkeys out there. I know you're gonna let me come out there and go turkey hunting this spring. You know, Jim, I never did get turned down.
After winning a world championship in 1985, Eddie Salter turned his expertise to the business world, becoming a well-known name for his line of turkey calls.
I had a gentleman named Ken Tucker that had a TV show that wanted me to get involved with him in the turkey call business, so really I had a little bit of credibility. I'd won the world championship, so that's basically, how, I got into call business, and this just kind of blew up from there. But this is a good sounding call to the day. It's more or less a collector's item right now. This is where you can learn if you can draw a circle.
And while visiting with one of the world's greatest turkey callers, I couldn't help but impose on Eddie for a lesson.
What it does, it goes between my teeth. Okay. And I roll my tongue up and I hold it up there, and it's kind of like I got a water bubble gum, and I'm trying to blow a bubble with bubble gum. So just put it in there and just try to get sound out of it. Hey, he is actually doing good.
Eddie remains a top name in the hunting industry today. As well as appearing at events and exhibitions nationwide, he is an advocate for turkey conservation and a host of Turkey Man, a television program on the Sportsman's Channel. While he's appeared everywhere from 2020 to ESPN, traveled the world and hunted with a variety of top names and celebrities, it's clear Eddie's passion has little to do with fame.
Looking back, I remember taking an 83-year-old man hunting, and I called a turkey up. He come across the field and he strutted and he gobbled, and that old man shot his first turkey at 83. And I went to pick his turkey up and come back, and the old man went to crying. And I said, "Why are you crying about it?" And I said, "You ought to be excited." And he said, "Well, son," said, "this was my first turkey, and I'm 83 years old, and I ain't got many more years out there. I wished I'd have started this turkey hunting 20 years ago."
To find out more about what Eddie's up to, or for information on his show Turkey Man, be sure to visit his Facebook page at facebook.com/Eddie Salter.
Turkey calling really is a difficult skill. How long did it take you to actually get that right?
After spitting on him 2 or 3 times, I finally got it right.
So he got a shower that he wasn't anticipating.
He did. Coming up next, some of Alabama's top students are learning about how our government works with the help of the state's electric cooperatives.
And later, we're headed to Marshall County, where Alabama's top farmer of 2015 is preparing to compete against the best growers from other southeastern states. Stay with us.
Alabama soybean farmers help fuel the state's economy. Soybeans are used to make clean, renewable biodiesel and are a key ingredient in feed for poultry, catfish, and livestock. Soybeans are used in dozens of products we use every day. But best of all, soybean farmers generate $258 million and more than 4,000 jobs for Alabama's economy, all while helping conserve our natural resources. Explore the power of soy.
We believe a plant should be more than a plant. This one is. It's all you need for your garden to succeed. Because it's a Bonnie plant. It represents hundreds of varieties of Bonnie's quality veggies and herbs. But more, it's from generations of Bonnie people who are passionate about sharing their love of gardening with you. Look for this little Bonnie plant and a whole family of plants like it in your garden center. Bonnie plants, so you'll know how to grow.
Support healthy food from local farmers by purchasing a Farming Feeds Alabama license plate. The tag funds education and promotion efforts, including Ag in the Classroom, agricultural scholarships, and youth programs. Get your Ag tag today.
Alabama wheat and feed grain farmers grow food, fuel, and freedom. Their harvest helps feed Alabama's multi-million-dollar livestock, catfish, and poultry industries while reducing America's dependence on foreign countries for energy and food. By combining their strength with farmers of other commodities, feed grain growers are fueling the economic growth of Alabama communities.
Brought to you by the Alabama Beef Checkoff Program. Fire up the grills. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
For years, Alabama's electric cooperatives have kept the lights on for businesses and residents in the state's rural and developing areas. Moving beyond the lines, this week we find out about an electric cooperative-led program that's powering young minds.
Concern for community is a key principle for Alabama's electric cooperatives, as they are owned by the members who rely on them for their power. Ensuring a healthy future in the towns and counties they serve is just all around good business. With this goal in mind, every year the State Association of Cooperatives sponsors the Youth Tour program, designed to educate and encourage leadership for students throughout Alabama.
The Youth Tour program in Alabama has been a successful program for 50 years. We have a Montgomery Youth Tour in March. Then in June, we take 48 to 50 of those kids that come from Montgomery to Washington, D.C. for an all-expense paid trip by their co-op for 6 days in D.C., and we pack it in.
Participants from Alabama join with students representing co-ops across the nation to experience the sights and history of our nation's capital. For many of these students, the Youth Tour is an introduction to what an electric cooperative actually is.
I just thought we got our power from Alabama Power. I had no idea what a cooperative was. I mean, we learned about it in history of like farmers, co-ops, and things like that.
These kids are the future of the co-op, and I think a lot of times we don't concentrate on what cooperatives are in schools. The Youth Tour program is a great opportunity for these kids to learn about the importance of electric cooperatives, but also have fun in the meantime.
As well as the insight into their cooperatives, interacting with their peers nationwide presents a unique social opportunity many of these young men and women may not find at home.
It really brought me out of my comfort zone because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. You know, I'm a kid from a small town and I don't know any of these people.
My kids will come up and say, all they want us to do is talk, because all these kids from up north or from the Midwest, you know, they just want our Alabama kids to talk because of our accents, and they've only heard it in, you know, movies and stuff like that.
While touring the memorials and monuments of Washington, these students are also introduced to the political process and the power of grassroots advocacy. The Youth Tour gives many of these future voters a unique opportunity to make their voices heard as they meet with their congressional representatives.
We set up a Capitol Hill Day, and they meet with their representatives and senators. These kids are polished and ask really tough questions to our representatives in D.C., and it's very interesting to see how it unfolds, and that the issues in small town Alabama can come through a 17-year-old kid.
Being in that room, being in that situation, it brought us all courage and brought us all confidence in that we're not this big, you know, we're much greater than that.
Electric cooperatives are built on their communities, and these kids will build the foundations for the memberships they serve in the years to come. Organizers stress the perspective students gain through the Youth Tour program is not only a valuable investment as a business, but also as a neighbor.
It's the best part about my job because these kids are just fantastic. They know when to cut up and be hilarious kids, but then at the turn of a dime, they're at Arlington Cemetery being completely respectful. It just solidifies my faith in the future of this country and the future of co-ops.
I see them as so much more than electric cooperatives, but they're like another father to me. They're another family.
For Simply Southern, I'm Samantha Carpenter.
If you would like more information on the Youth Tour program, contact your local electric cooperative or visit the State Association's website at areapower.com.
You know, Mary, it's wonderful how the electric co-op send those kids up there. That's just incredible.
It really is a great opportunity for leadership, meet the nation's leaders and students from other states as well. When we get back, we'll meet the winner of one of Alabama agriculture's most prestigious honors.
For nearly 50 years, the Electric Cooperatives of Alabama have been giving young people an opportunity to visit our nation's capital, where they learn about the value of electric cooperatives and the importance of grassroots advocacy. Top students join with thousands of others touring monuments, landmarks, and meeting with their congressional delegation. The Rural Electric Youth Tour program. Just one more way the Electric Cooperatives of Alabama are investing in the future of our state.
Alabama wheat and feed grain farmers grow food, fuel, and freedom. Their harvest helps feed Alabama's multi-million-dollar livestock, catfish, and poultry industries while reducing America's dependence on foreign countries for energy and food. By combining their strength with farmers of other commodities, feed grain growers are fueling the economic growth of Alabama communities.
Brought to you by the Alabama Beef Checkoff Program. Fire up the grills. Beef, it's what's for dinner. Alabama soybean farmers help fuel the state's economy. Soybeans are used to make clean, renewable biodiesel and are a key ingredient in feed for poultry, catfish, and livestock. Soybeans are used in dozens of products we use every day. But best of all, soybean farmers generate $258 million and more than 4,000 jobs for Alabama's economy, all while helping conserve our natural resources. Explore the power of soy.
Farming has always been the lifeblood of Alabama's economy. Clearly, determining the best of our state's agricultural producers is a daunting task. And this year, that honor goes to a family farm in Marshall County. Kevin Worthington introduces us to the people who operate Alabama's 2015 Farm of Distinction.
Marshall County farmer Ricky Cornutt has been farming most of his life, but he's never enjoyed it more than the last few years.
I've always wanted to farm. I graduated high school, went to college for 1 year, and decided that I wanted to come back on the farm. And we started in 1980, farming full time. Went through a lot of lean years, you might say, in the 80s and even in the 90s. And we've been looking for the last 5 years for over 30 years now. It's been good the last 5 or 6 years.
Ricky, who farms in partnership with his brother, began with just 25 acres. Today, Cornutt Farms covers more than 2,000 acres and includes 1,200 acres of corn, soybeans, and wheat, a 250-cow beef cattle operation, and 150 acres of hay. But unlike farms in the Tennessee River Valley, Ricky's fields aren't hundreds of acres in size. In fact, just moving equipment and keeping up with leases can be a big job.
Out of that 1,200 acres, we have about 42 different landlords. And probably the average size of a farm would be maybe 20, 25 acres. A lot of moving down the road. A lot of different fields, smaller fields we go into. So it's been a challenge for that, but that's just Sand Mountain.
Because his farm is interwoven with the community, Ricky says it's important to be courteous with drivers and respectful of neighbors who have property that adjoins his fields.
Well, I feel like if to be a good neighbor, whether you're a farmer or not, you need to be kind to one another. And there's been times where people don't understand our farming. They don't understand why we work late at night, or they don't understand why we're working on a Saturday when they're in the bed. I feel like being a good neighbor is just part of being a good person.
For the Cornutts, being good environmental stewards is also part of being neighborly. As early adopters of conservation tillage, the Cornutts have been able to reduce noise and dust while improving soil health.
Well, we started no-tilling in 1984, and it's one of the best things that's happened for us. To get over the land saves topsoil, it builds organic matter, it saves on fuel, and to us it's just been one of the best things we could do.
Ricky began farming with his father, and although the elder Cornutt passed away 5 years ago, Ricky says he thinks his dad would be happy to see the farm today.
We've had some lean years, but we've never had a crop where we didn't know how we was going to make it, or we didn't know that we could make it to the next year. There's been some lean times, but God has blessed us, and He's allowed us to keep doing what we're doing, and we're thankful for that, and we give Him the glory for it.
For Simply Southern, I'm Kevin Worthington.
For being selected the Alabama winner, the Cornuts move on to the next level of competition at the Southeast Ag Expo in Moultrie, Georgia. There they will face off against the top farmers from 10 other southeastern states.
You know, Jim, they really do have a family operation there in Marshall County. Their son and daughter both help out and take on important leadership roles.
I've been on that farm. It's one of the cleanest I've ever seen.
It's really a good example of Alabama agriculture.
Up next, spring's not quite in the air, but it's never too early to plan for a perfect strawberry season. Sid Phelps from Bonnie Plants will be in to get us started. Next on Simply Southern.
When AJ was born with a heart defect, we practically lived at the hospital. We weren't prepared for that. My Alpha customers, my Alpha family made sure we had everything we needed. Now I'm even more motivated to help take care of them. Who I am fits what I do. I am Alpha.
For the best agents in the business, call Alpha.
What one thing can you say about your local quality co-op store? You can trust us. You get what you need for your farm, for your lawn and garden, and the safest products for your pets. We're locally owned and operated, and you can trust that we care about our community and the people in it. So if you're a raised bed gardener, a rose gardener, or if you farm hundreds of acres, the Quality Co-op Store has exactly what you need to get the job done. All this plus friendly, knowledgeable advice. Your Quality Co-op Store. There's one near you.
Support healthy food from local farmers by purchasing a Farming Feeds Alabama license plate. The tag funds education and promotion efforts, including Ag in the Classroom, agricultural scholarships, and youth programs. Get your Ag tag today.
We believe a plant should be more than a plant. This one is. It's all you need for your garden to succeed. Because it's a Bonnie plant. It represents hundreds of varieties of Bonnie's quality veggies and herbs. But more, it's from generations of Bonnie people who are passionate about sharing their love of gardening with you. Look for this little Bonnie plant and a whole family of plants like it in your garden center. Bonnie plants, so you'll know how to grow.
Hey folks, Sidney Phelps here with Bonnie Plants. Now, we've talked about strawberries in other segments and using them in recipes as salads, and you've seen dishes on the website that can be used from savory all the way to desserts. And that's the great thing about strawberries is you can use them for so many different reasons, and you can grow them in so many different ways. From specialized containers, raised beds, in the ground, all the way to hanging baskets like you see here. Now, one thing you really need to keep in mind when you're picking the right strawberry for yourself is consider your purposes of using it. Now, an everbearing strawberry will produce strawberries from late spring and a little bit throughout the summer, but it will ramp back up production for fall. Whereas a June-bearing strawberry is going to produce the majority of its fruit over a 3-week period. Now, this is going to be late May to early to mid-June. That's why it gets the name June-bearing strawberry. Now, it's not going to produce very much at all during the fall season. So keep that in mind. Think of it as a determinate tomato. A determinate tomato is going to bear all of its fruit at one time. That way you can preserve. Same situation with a June-bearing strawberry. So if you're going to be doing a lot of preserves or canning, June-bearing is definitely the way to go. Now, lucky for us, in Alabama, we've got a warm climate. So those of you around the Panhandle can use never-bearing strawberry all year long. You don't have to worry so much about the frost. And even in central Alabama, we can get away with using everbearings. However, our friends in the north, well, you may need to use that June-bearing to get the most production out of your strawberries. Unless you're growing in some type of hoop house or you've got them in those containers that you can bring in on the really cold nights. But when you're dealing with a strawberry, you really need to consider the soil. It's probably one of the most important factors that you really need to rely on. They like an acidic soil, somewhere between 5.8 and 6.8 pH. So that's really a soil test that you want to take care of. They also do not like clay. They want something that the roots can go through, something that's very permeable and a sandy soil that's really good for them to grow through. Now, when you're dealing with this, if you've got a clay soil, you can really amend it with a lot of different things like a bulky compost or mixing in some topsoil or a potting soil, or you can just go right into a container or a basket. Now, whenever you're planting your strawberries, a key component that you really need to think about is the crown. You want to protect the crown. If you don't, this can allow the crown or the plant itself to rot right down. Let's take a look at this. I'm going to show you the crown. So you can see we've got a great root system, and whenever you're planting this, you want to break it up before you put it into whatever container that you're using. But the crown is right here at the very top. Now you want to make sure that you plant this plant just container deep, about right there, have that much sticking up. That's going to allow it to grow and do everything that you want out of the strawberry. Now, whenever you're harvesting your strawberries, you want to pay attention to the blooms. When you see blooms, that's when you've got to make sure that you've got plenty of bees and other bugs out there that are pollinate them, because without pollination, we're not going to get any berries. Also, mulch is the thing that you really need to think about all the time with strawberries. You want to protect the berries from the ground. So use pine straw, wheat straw, compost, mulch, anything that can get up underneath there and raise them up. Also, and lastly, think about those pesky birds. They're going to see that red fruit and they're going to be diving in trying to eat it. So a good 1/4-inch net wrap that can go over your baskets or any type of container and be secured down is going to keep those from stealing the berries before you can harvest them. But to make sure that you pick out your right berry, go to bonnieplants.com or the mobile app Homegrown with Bonnie Plants and check out all the varieties that are available to you.
I'm really glad to get those tips from Sidney because strawberries are one of our favorite things. It's the one thing that we make sure to plant in our garden every year.
You know, like he said, it's never too early to start thinking about what you're going to plant next.
That's right. And if you need some inspiration for your spring garden, visit bonnieplants.com. You can also find out more about the stories we featured today by visiting their individual websites. To keep up with Turkey Man Eddie Salter and for information on his television show, stop by his Facebook page at facebook.com/Eddie Salter. For more information on the state's electric cooperatives and the youth tour program, visit the Alabama Rural Electric Association's website at areapower.coop. Although only one can claim to be this year's Farm of Distinction, Alabama's many worthy farms are a credit to our state. For more information on Alabama agriculture, visit the Alabama Farmers Federation website at alphafarmers.org.
And of course, to stay up to date on what we're doing here, be sure to like our Simply Southern Facebook page or visit our website at simplysoutherntv.net. On next week's show, we feature a company that is making bicycles out of bamboo.
Plus, Samantha Carpenter will see how the Alabama Nature Center in Millbrook is educating the state's young minds about the wildlife around them.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Simply Southern. I'm Jim Allen.
And I'm Mary Johnson. We hope to see you again next week.
Simply Southern is a production of the Alabama Farmers Cooperative and the Alabama Farmers Federation.